Welcome, dear listener, to Jade Fox Tales, where ancient myths become the dreams into which you softly descend. I am most grateful for your company this evening and for the quiet moment you have chosen to spend here. Tonight, we journey to the ancient skies and sacred lands of India and Thailand, where the mighty Garuda soars upon vast wings, and where the great Serpent moves in quiet strength beneath the world below. It is a tale of power, of balance, and of the enduring tension between forces that shape both the heavens and the earth. For in these old stories, opposition is not always born of malice, and even conflict may carry within it a deeper order, guiding the world towards its quiet harmony. You need not follow each word too closely. Should your thoughts begin to wander, you may let them do so. And if sleep should find you before the tale has reached its end, you may welcome it without concern. The story will continue, whether heard or not, as sky and earth remain in their silent and enduring balance. Before we begin, let us allow the day to fall gently away. Take a slow breath in and let it go again unhurried. There is no need to guide the breath, only to notice its quiet rhythm. The world beyond this moment may wait. For now, there is nowhere you must be, and nothing that requires your attention. And so, in this quiet interval, we turn gently towards tonight's tale, a story of a great bird and a serpent, and of the balance that lies between them. And now, dear listener, let the body rest, let the mind grow still, and allow yourself to drift as the story begins. Long before the kingdoms of men carved their cities from stone, long before temple bells echoed through the forests of India and the sacred rivers of Thailand, the world was ruled not by kings nor emperors, but by forces far older and far grander. In those distant ages, the heavens and the earth were alive with beings who whose strength shaped the mountains and whose presence stirred the oceans. Among the most powerful of these creatures were two ancient lineages. The first were the children of the sky, the radiant race of great winged spirits known as the Garuda. The second were the guardians of rivers, caverns, and hidden kingdoms beneath the earth. The Serpents' lords called the Naga. Though both races were born of the same primordial world, their nature could not have been more different. The Garuda were creatures of wind and sunlight. Their wings were vast as storm clouds, their feathers gleaming like burnished gold beneath the dawn. When they soared across the heavens, the very air trembled beneath their power, and shadows of their wings drifted across forests and mountains like passing storms. The Naga, by contrast, moved through water and stone with quiet grace. Their bodies shimmered like living jewels, emerald, sapphire, and pearl, and their ancient eyes reflected wisdom gathered over countless centuries. They ruled the hidden places of the world. Deep beneath winding rivers, within caverns filled with glowing crystals, and in secret palaces where water fell like silvern curtains, the Naga kept watch over treasures not made of gold, but of balance itself. For the rivers they guarded nourished the forests fed the wind, and the winds carried the rains. Thus the world moved in harmony. Sky, earth, and water bound together in a delicate order. Yet harmony, dear listener, is seldom permanent, for even among ancient beings, pride may grow. High above the world, where clouds gathered in palaces of sunlight, there lived a mighty spirit known as Vinata. She was the mother of the Garuda, and her heart burned with fierce devotion for her children. Yet Vinata was not alone. Her sister Kadru ruled over the serpentine race of the Naga. Though sisters by birth, their temperaments were as different as sky and ocean. Vinata loved the open heavens and the freedom of light. She valued strength, courage, and the bold spirit of the wind. Garuda, meanwhile, was patient and cunning. She favored quiet strategy over force and believed wisdom lay in observation rather than action. For many centuries, their rivalry remained little more than quiet disagreement. But destiny has a curious way of turning small tension into great conflict. And so it happened one day as the sisters watched the sun descend across the horizon that a simple wager was spoken, a wager whose consequences would echo through ages. In the golden light of evening, the sisters gazed upon the celestial horse that carried the sun across the heavens. Garuda declared the horse's tail was black. Vinata insisted it was white as moonlight. Neither would yield, and so they made a bet. The one proven wrong would become the servant of the other. It seemed at the time a trivial matter, yet Garuda desired victory above all else, commanded her serpent children, the Naga, to coil the cells secretly around the horse's tail during the night, so that by morning it would indeed appear black. When dawn arrived, Vinata looked upon the horse and saw what appeared to be a dark tail. Thus the wager was lost, and by the rules they had sworn to uphold, Vinata became the servant of a sister. Among Vinata's children was one unlike any the world had yet seen. He was vast beyond measure. His wings shimmered like molten gold. His eyes burned with the light of the rising sun. This mighty being was Garuda, destined to become the greatest of all sky spirits. Yet when Garuda learned that his beloved mother had been enslaved through deceit, a fierce fire awakened within his heart. He descended from the heavens like a falling star and stood before the throne of the Naga. "Release my mother," he declared, his voice echoing like thunder through the halls of water and stone. The Serpent King regarded him with calm, unblinking eyes. "You may free her," they replied, "if you bring us a treasure the gods themselves guard, the nectar of immortality." A silence followed. Even the rivers seemed to pause in their flowing, for the nectar, the sacred Amrita, was kept within the highest realms of the gods, protected by celestial fire and guardians of unimaginable power. Yet Garuda did not hesitate. "If that is the price," he said quietly, "then I shall bring it." Thus began the legendary quest of the Sky King, a journey that would shake the heavens themselves and forever entwine the fates of the Garuda and the Naga. And so, dear listener, beneath a sky filled with ancient stars, the great wings of Garuda unfurled for the first time upon his destined path. The winds gathered, the clouds parted, and with a single thunderous beat of his wings, the mighty eagle rose towards the heavens. But what trials awaited him above the world of men, that is a story yet to unfold. In the age when mountains were still young and the heavens were not yet silent, the mighty wings of Garuda cast a vast shadow across the earth, for the promise he had made was no light vow. The Serpent Kings, the ancient Naga, had demanded the most sacred treasure known to gods or spirits, the nectar of immortality itself. And so Garuda rose from the world below, climbing through layers of clouds until the river of the earth appeared no larger than threads of silver. The winds howled about him, yet his wings beat were unwavering strength, for his heart carried a single purpose: to free his mother. Higher and higher the great eagle flew. Below him stretched the forests and sacred rivers of India, where ancient trees whispered to one another beneath the moon. Farther east lay the lush jungle and temple valleys of Thailand, where winding waterways glittered beneath the sun. Yet Garuda's gaze did not linger upon the lands of men. His path led beyond the mortal sky. In those days the heavens were not empty. They were layered like the petals of a lotus, realms upon realms where celestial beings kept watch over the order of the world. To reach the nectar of immortality, Garuda must pass through each of these realms, and each was guarded. The first trial came sooner than expected. Ahead of him rose a vast forest unlike any that grew upon the earth. Its trees were not of wood, but of living flame, their branches burning without smoke, their leaves crackling with golden fire. This was a forest of blazing fire, a barrier placed by the gods to prevent unworthy seekers from passing further into the celestial realms. The heat alone would have turned ordinary creatures to ash. But Garuda was not an ordinary creature. With a thunderous cry, he spread his immense wings wide and summoned the winds themselves. The air roared around him like a storm unleashed. The flames bent and twisted under the force of that mighty wind. Then Garuda performed a feat spoken of in legends for centuries thereafter. He descended towards the distant ocean, scooping vast torrents of water within his colossal beak and talons. Carrying these seas through the air, he returned to the blazing forest and released them in cascading torrents. Steam rose like 1,000 clouds. The flames faltered, and through the drifting mist, the golden eagle passed unharmed. Beyond the forest stood another guardian. Floating in the sky itself was a colossal spinning wheel, a disc of shining metal whose edges were sharper than the keenest blade. It turned endlessly, its speed so great that the air shrieked as it slid through the heavens. None who had approached it had survived. This terrible device was known as the Wheel of Razors, and it guarded the inner sanctum where the nectar of immortality was kept. Garuda circled it once, twice. His brilliant eyes studied the rhythm of its spinning, the intervals between its movements. For though he possessed strength beyond measure, Garuda also possessed something equally powerful: patience. At last he saw it, a brief moment in the wheel's endless motion, when a narrow opening appeared between its spokes. It lasted but a heartbeat, yet for the great eagle, a heartbeat was enough. Folding his wings tight against his body, Garuda shot forward like an arrow of gold. The spinning blades flashed past him in a blur of steel and light. And then, just as swiftly as he had entered, he emerged on the other side untouched. Now Garuda approached the innermost sanctuary of the gods. There, upon a pedestal of radiant crystal, stood a vessel that contained the sacred nectar, the divine Amrita that granted immortality to those who drank it. Yet the gods had not left such a treasure unguarded. Two enormous serpents coiled around the pedestal. Their scales gleamed like polished emerald, and from their open jaw flickered tongues of living flame. No serpents themselves, they were not of the race of the Naga. These were celestial guardians created by the gods. As Garuda approached, the serpents struck. Their fiery breath roared through the air like twin storms. But Garuda's wings moved with astonishing speed. With one powerful sweep, he stirred the whirlwind of dust and sand gathered from the edges of the heavenly realm. The dust filled the serpent's eye, blinding them. Before they could recover, the great eagle descended. With his mighty talons, he seized the vessel of nectar, and with a thunderous beat of his wings, he rose once more into the open sky. Yet Garuda had not flown far before a radiant presence appeared before him. The air itself grew calm. The clouds parted as though bowing. Before him stood the great god Vishnu, guardian of cosmic balance. And like the blazing trials Garuda had faced before, Vishnu did not arrive with weapons or thunder. Instead, he regarded the great eagle with serene curiosity. "You have overcome the trials of heaven," Vishnu said gently. "Why do you seek the nectar?" Garuda lowered his wings respectfully. "It is not for myself," he replied. "My mother was enslaved through deceit by the serpent race. They demand this nectar as a price of her freedom." Vishnu studied him closely. "You have passed every trial, not through cruelty, but through determination and wisdom. Even now, you do not seek immortality for yourself." Garuda inclined his head. "My mother's freedom is worth more to me than eternal life." For a long moment, the god said nothing. Then Vishnu smiled. "In that case, he said softly. You have already proven yourself worthy of greatness. He raised his hand in blessing. Carry the nectar to the serpents as promised, but fear not. They shall not gain the immortality they desire. Garuda listened attentively. For your courage and devotion, Vishnu continued. I grant you a boon. From this day forth, you shall become my eternal companion. Wherever I travel across the heavens, you shall bear me upon your mighty wings. Thus, it was the Garuda, the great eagle of the sky, became the sacred mount of the god Vishnu. Yet the story of his quest was not yet finished, for he still carried the nectar, and the serpents awaited his return. And when sky and serpent would meet again, their ancient rivalry would truly begin. The winds parted before the mighty wings of Garuda as he descended once more towards the lands of earth. In his powerful talons he carried the radiant vessel that held the sacred nectar of immortality, the divine Amrita coveted by gods and feared by those who understood its power. Below him, rivers curved like silver ribbons across the forests of India, and beyond them stretched distant jungles and mountain valleys that would one day lie within the lands of Thailand. Yet Garuda's mind was not upon the beauty of the world beneath him. His thoughts rested upon a single figure, his mother, Vinata. She remained bound by the cruel bargain imposed by Garuda and the serpent children, the ancient Naga. And though Garuda now carried the treasure they had demanded, he also carried the quiet counsel of the god Vishnu, whose wisdom was deeper than the ocean itself. For Vishnu had spoken truly. The serpents would not gain what they sought. As twilight descended upon the world, Garuda reached the hidden domain of the Naga. It lay deep within the sacred valley, where a vast river vanished beneath the earth. The waters plunged through caverns of glittering stone into a subterranean kingdom illuminated by jewels and pale blue light. Here, the serpent lords coiled upon thrones of crystal. Their scales shimmered in countless hues: emerald, sapphire, gold, and pearl, and their eyes gleamed with ancient intelligence. When Garuda's great wings stirred the cavern air, whispers rippled through the gathered serpents. He has returned. He carries the nectar. Garuda herself rose from a jeweled seat, her long serpentine body gliding gracefully across the marble floor. Her gaze settled upon the shining vessel held in Garuda's claws. "You have succeeded," she said. Garuda landed upon the stone floor with a resonant echo. "I have brought what you demanded." A murmur of excitement spread among the serpents. Immortality had long been the dream of many among their kind. Though they possessed long lives and secret wisdom, even the Naga were bound by the slow turning of time. But Garuda's expression remained calm. "There is one condition," he said. The serpents narrowed their eyes. "You shall release my mother immediately." Garuda considered for only a moment. "A fair exchange," she replied. At her command, Vinyata was brought forward. Though weary from years of servitude, her eyes shone with quiet pride when she beheld her son standing tall before the serpent court. "My child," she whispered. Garuda inclined his head gently. "The bargain is fulfilled." Garuda gestured towards the vessel, then placed the nectar before us. Garuda remembered the words of Vishnu. He stepped forward and set the glowing vessel upon a bed of sacred kusa grass that grew near the edge of the underground river. "The nectar rests here," he said calmly, "but before drinking it, you must purify yourself." The serpents exchanged curious glances. "Such rituals are required when receiving divine gifts," Garuda continued. "You must cleanse your scales in the river and return purified. Only then may you partake." The Naga, eager for immortality and trusting in their imminent triumph, agreed readily. "Very well," Garuda said. The serpents slid gracefully towards the river's edge, their long bodies slipping into the cool water as they performed the ritual cleansing. But the moment they vanished beneath the surface, a brilliant light appeared within the cavern. Ascending through the air came the radiant form of Indra, ruler of the heavens, he had watched the events unfold from the celestial realms. Without delay, Indra seized the vessel containing the nectar and carried it swiftly away into the sky. Garuda did not attempt to stop him, for this had been the plan all along. When the Naga emerged from the river, their scales gleaming with fresh water, they slithered eagerly towards the place where the vessel had rested. But the vessel was gone. Only the sacred kusa grass remained. A murmur of confusion spread among them. Where is it? Who has taken it? Their eyes turned towards Garuda, yet the great eagle merely watched in silence. Desperate and unwilling to believe their dream lost, the serpents began licking the blades of kusa grass where the nectar had once touched. Perhaps, they reasoned, a drop remained, but the grass was sharp, and as their tongues brushed its edges, the blades sliced them cleanly down the middle. Thus, it was that the tongues of serpents forever became forked. And though they searched long and fervently, not a single drop of the nectar remained. The immortality they had sought had slipped beyond their reach. Realization dawned slightly among the Naga. They had been outwitted. Gudrun's eyes burned with anger. You tricked us, she hissed. Garuda did not deny it. I honored the bargain, he replied calmly. My mother stands free. Vinyata, now released from her servitude, stepped to her son's side. The deceit began long before this day, Garuda continued. You enslaved her through trickery. I merely restored balance. The serpent court fell into tense silence. Some Naga glared with hatred. Others regarded Garuda with reluctant admiration, for though he had denied them the nectar, he had done so without breaking his word. And in that ancient age, honor still carried weight, even among rivals. At last, Garuda spoke again. From this day forward, she declared, the children of the sky and the children of the serpent shall remain enemies. Garuda's wings unfolded slowly, casting golden shadows across the cavern walls. If conflict must exist, he said quietly, let it be guided by justice rather than cruelty. Then, with one final glance towards the serpent's hidden kingdom, a great eagle rose towards the distant opening of the cave. The air thundered beneath his wings as he ascended into the open sky. Above him waited the endless heavens and the destiny promised by the god Vishnu, whom he would now serve for all ages. Yet even as Garuda soared towards the clouds, the Naga watched from the shadows below, and though they had lost the nectar of immortality, the memory of this day would never fade. Thus began the ancient rivalry between the eagle of the heavens and the serpents of the earth, a legend whispered through temples and river valleys across the lands of India and Thailand for countless generations. But time, dear listener, has a curious way of softening even the fiercest conflicts, and in the final chapter of this tale, we shall see that the world itself requires both sky and serpent to remain in balance, for even the oldest rivals may one day discover that harmony lies not in victory, but in understanding. The years that followed the great deception of the Nectar did not pass in quiet harmony. Across the forests, mountains, and sacred rivers of India, stories began to spread among sages and wandering storytellers. They spoke of the mighty sky king Garuda, whose wings could eclipse the sun, and of the ancient serpent lords, the Naga, whose hidden kingdoms lay beneath rivers and mountains. Though their conflict had begun as a matter of pride and deception, it gradually became something far greater, for Garuda now served as a sacred companion and celestial mount of the great preserver god Vishnu, soaring through the heavens whenever divine balance required his presence. And the Naga, though denied immortality, remained powerful guardians of the hidden waters that sustained the world. And thus the sky and the earth became watchful rivals, yet the world itself, as it often does, held lessons yet to be learned. Many seasons passed. The winds of monsoon arrived and departed countless times. Kingdoms rose along river banks. Temples were carved from stone, and forests grew deep with life. But in one distant valley, where the jungle stretched towards the eastern lands, and would one day from the heart of Thailand, something unusual began to occur. A great river, once broad and generous, began slowly to weaken. Its waters thinned, its current slowed, fish vanished from its depths, and the rice fields that depended upon its flow grew dry and brittle beneath the sun. The people of the valley prayed to the heavens for relief, yet the rains did not come. High above the world, Garuda observed the fading river with concern. From the skies he could see what others could not. The river's source, a vast underground spring deep within the mountains, had been sealed by a colossal landslide of stone, and beneath that mountain lived a powerful Naga king, whose duty had long been to guard the waters that fed the valley below. But the passage was now blocked. The Serpent King could not escape, and the river could not flow. Garuda circled above the mountains. His golden wings glimmered in the sun. To descend into the serpent's realm was dangerous. The rivalry between his kind and the Naga had endured for generations. Yet the suffering of the valley below stirred something within him. A memory, perhaps, of the promise he had once made to the god Vishnu, that his strength would serve balance, not pride. With a slow beat of his wings, Garuda descended towards the mountain. The entrance to the Serpent Kingdom lay hidden within a narrow canyon, where cool mist drifted through ancient stone arches carved by the patient work of water. As Garuda approached, a deep voice echoed from within the darkness. "You dare enter here, Sky King?" From the shadows emerged a vast serpent whose scale shimmered like emerald glass. This was Vasuki, one of the eldest of the Naga kings. His eyes glowed with both suspicion and weary wisdom. Garuda landed upon the stone before him. "I have not come for battle," he said calmly. Vasuki's great coils shifted. "That is not a custom between our races." "Perhaps," Garuda replied gently. "The custom has outlived its purpose." Garuda explained what he had seen from the heavens, the landslide that had sealed the spring, the suffering of the valley below, and the Serpent King listened in silence. At last, Vasuki spoke. "You speak truth. The passage behind the stone feeds the river. I have long sought to move it, but even my strength is not enough." Garuda turned his gaze towards the narrow cavern where the collapsed boulder lay. It was enormous, a mountain fragment wedged tightly between the cavern walls. Together, Garuda said quietly, "We may succeed." Serpent King studied him carefully. "You would aid a Naga?" Garuda's wings shifted softly in the dim light. The world above and the world below depend upon the same waters. A long silence followed. Then Vasuki inclined his great head. "Very well, Sky King." The task before them was not simple. Garuda's immense talons could grip the stone, yet the narrow cavern restricted the movement of its wings. The Naga King, meanwhile, could coil his mounty body around the boulder, but lacked the leverage to shift it fully. For hours they struggled. Stone scraped against stone. Dust filled the cavern. Yet slowly, inch by inch, the boulder began to move. Garuda pulled with relentless strength. Vasuki pushed with patient determination. And at last, with a deep, echoing rumble, the stone rolled free. From the darkness behind it burst a powerful surge of crystal clear water. The ancient spring had been released. The river would flow once more. As the waters rushed past them, Garuda stepped back and watched the current regain its strength. Vasuki coiled beside the flowing stream. The valley below will live again, the Serpent King said quietly. Garuda inclined his head. The sky alone cannot sustain the world, and the earth alone cannot guide the rains, Vasuki replied. The two ancient rivals regarded one another with something that had never before existed between them. Not friendship, perhaps, but respect. In the weeks that followed, the river returned to its former strength. The valley flourished once more. Rice fields shimmered beneath the sun. Fish returned to the waters, and the people, unaware of the alliance that had saved them, offered prayers of gratitude to both sky and earth. High above, Garuda soared through golden clouds. Deep below, the Naga guarded their rivers as they always had. Yet from that day forward, the ancient rivalry between them changed. No conflicts would still arise, for such is the nature of powerful beings. A deeper truth had been remembered. The sky requires the river to carry its rains. The river requires the winds to fill their clouds, and the world itself thrives only when strength and wisdom move together. Thus, the legend of the eagle and the serpent passed into the stories of sages and monks across the lands of India and Thailand. A tale not merely of rivalry, but of balance,